this content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill no one.
Wait a second.
Oh, no.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin versus the world. I'm SeptumSin. This is Kotobuki Jake, and we're here to show you what we got.
Show me what you got. I want to see what you got. Oh boy.
All right, so we got some fun stuff. Of course, if you haven't noticed, I have our shirts. I had them last week, but I hadn't washed them yet. So they're clean. As you can see, this nice design. Actually, let me put it over there. There you go. So you should be able to see this pretty good.
Nice.
And of course, I do have one for you. I don't know if it will fit you or not. It shrank a little bit in the wash, but I think it's done with its shrinking. It fits me all right,
Well,
so
that's good.
maybe. If worse comes to worse, you'll have a shirt you can hang. So I guess I'll start us off. This is I'm going back into the main. This is not just holiday pickups, even though they are all holiday pickups right now, just because I go through my pickups in alphabetical order. And before I started this, I hit all of these letters with the alphabetical order. So C is where I'm down to, and I haven't gotten down to the letter C. I almost got there because it's CR, and CR is where this ends. So technically next time, unless these right stuff orders get here, I'll probably be hitting back into that part of the collection. I'm hoping to pick up a shelf basically as soon as IKEA is able to start shipping. I'm going to get a shelf sent, and then I'm going to start filing these movies into the collection officially.
Nice.
So the first of these is the Bourne Ultimate Collection.
Oh.
Now, I only had the first 3 movies in the series on DVD, so they were up for an upgrade anyway, and there are 2 more on top of it, the Bourne Legacy and Jason Bourne.
Nice.
So this allowed me to go ahead and compact this down, so it's less room than the 3, and on top of that, I was able to get 2 more films in this collection. It's on Blu-ray. There's a 4K that was released more recently, which is what drove this price down when Amazon put it on sale. And to me, it's worth having. I'm glad that it's there. I'm kind of glad I slimmed it down a little bit, and it was something that was been on my wish list for ages. And I think this, I really feel like Jason Bourne was the end of the Bourne series. I want to say that, or at least as far as
I think that's the intention.
yeah, at least as far as we know, as far as Matt Damon anyway. They might continue it with a different actor, you know.
Well, they tried that with Bourne Legacy, and you see what happened there. But
they
even though
won't.
from Matt Damon.
What were you gonna
Alright.
say?
Well, as I said, I do need that set. That seems like a good plan, good way to do it.
Good compact.
Same thing. I think I have the first 3 on DVD. But next up, on entirely the same quality and respectability level from what I've heard, although this was one that there is a theme for mine tonight. I wanted to do a fairly large one because I had a large order from a single vendor, and I thought it would be fun to put it all out at once. So actually, I think I told you 14, but it's actually 15 here. So, you know, I hope that works. but it's from Sentai Filmworks. And I'm going to start off with a couple of items on DVD. And of course, right now, their DVDs are typically cheap. They're doing a good job. This one was really cheap. And that's Gunbuster the movie,
Oh.
which actually a made in Japan release. But I'm not particularly familiar with this series, but I saw the price. I was like, that's worth a get.
Oh, whew, excuse me.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had one that was I had put on priority when I got it, and then I ran out of money and I couldn't get it because it was $80. But they decided to lower the price to $40. And then when I found out that no one was going to get it for me for Christmas, I said, you know what? I can't, worst comes to worst, I can return it. Or return the one that they get if they get it for me, if they got it for a higher price. So I went ahead and I picked up the Hammer Films 20 film set. It's not a surprise to Jake because I showed this off in the movie group earlier. This is a nice collection. I mean, it's 20 films, not a single one on that other Hammer set that I had purchased for 10. But, you getting 20 films, and these are classic 60s and 70s horror. That really, they were the universal monsters of the 60s and 70s. Whereas Universal Monsters kind of hit from the 30s to the 50s. This was kind of the continuation in a way. Hammer did them in their own way. And it really is cool. So on this set, we've got Revenge of Frankenstein, Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, These Are the Damned, Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll, The Old Dark House, The Gorgon, Cash on Demand, as Mo had, of course, also joked, the Snorkel. I always picture the Snorks, the 80s cartoon, them attacking people. Maniac, Die, my darling. Stop me before I kill. I say that all the time. Never take candy from a stranger. Scream of fear. The Stranglers of Bombay. Very different from the Stranglers of New York. The Terror of the Tongs. The Pirates of Blood River. Sword of Sherwood Forest. The Camp on Blood Isle. Yesterday's Enemy. And Creatures the World Forgot. But it's kind of cool to have these. You got some people who really like Peter Cushing. What is that guy's name? You got basically a lot of people who really got a lot of their starts.
Did you forget Christopher Lee again?
Yeah, I did. So
how do you forget a name like Christopher Lee?
I don't know, but this is important film history. I'm glad to have it. I have a sizable collection of Hammer films. I've got 28 Hammer films now. I can be content for a while.
Nice. Next up, I have one that I can't remember, but I think Sentai did have a Blu-ray release, but I think I missed out on it. But I got a really good price on this one, and I wanted it. And that's called Kiniro and Mosaic.
Ah, yes.
And it looks like kind of a cutesy little slice of life one featuring a Brit, or at least an anime version of a Brit. It looks fun. It looks, kind of like the kind of show that I don't mind snapping up at a low price. I'll get to it one of these days. But it's been on my list for a while, and I finally just grabbed it.
Yeah.
In fact, this go around, I actually made a point this time around. I had the Sentai page up. I went around to my collection to make sure that I wasn't overlooking stuff, because I do that so much. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it's a. I had those the Kinmoza ones, and it's kind of fun looking.
Mhm.
I haven't seen them yet, but yeah, I got them on the last Sentai sale because they were cheap.
Right.
So we talked a little bit about Blind Fury and that I had already purchased Blind Fury, and I said look for this particular show because I have Payback Time, the triple feature, which is
Ooh.
$7 a triple feature. Probably doesn't have as cool a transfer as the re-release, but for all I know, it's the same one. But it has Blind Fury, Silent Rage, and White Line Fever. Having Silent Rage along with it is worth the extra. I mean, not extra, just worth the purchase. And you know, I can be curious about White Line Fever because it's kind of cool to see these again. It's good to have them all in my collection, especially the first two. As I said before, Blind Fury was a priority, so now it is no longer because I have it.
All right. One that was clearly not a priority for me because it took me so long to get it is one that's actually been on my agenda for some time. If I remember correctly, I think the series stars Yui Horie, and for that reason alone, it was on my list. And I finally got it at a very low price, and that was a series called Okami Kakushi, The Mask of the Wolf. So that's, you know, like I said, it's one I've been after for a while. Did Mo say this was one he'd enjoyed, or he just picked it up as well? I can't remember.
I do not know.
I don't know. But it's one that I finally did. I finally got it. It looks like it's a little darker, probably a little bit more of a horror bent to it from what I understand. But probably, I feel like it's a decently rated show. So I'll look forward to it one of these days. Maybe next Halloween season.
So my next one is going to be one that it's been on my list for a while. It was an Oscar nominee, and it is one that I really wanted. I just wanted to get the Blu-ray for 10 or under, and I kept finding it for 14 or above. And there was always the DVD that went under that. And this is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Nice.
Tom Hanks film. I think you got it earlier. I think you found like a flash sale or something where you got it under 10. I can't remember.
No, I got it for 13. You're right. It wouldn't go cheaper.
So I finally found it for that price. It finally went over the holidays. So I finally went for my last Amazon buy. And here it is. It was excellently acted. It is a must-have in the collection. Really is one of the definitions of one of those yes pleases. It was one that I was willing to hold for an indefinite period, but it was always on my mind. It's like, I have the price. If it goes below the price, you have these as well. You know, I go for it at that point. So it finally fell below it. So I definitely picked it up, and I'm glad to have it. Maybe I should watch this and Won't You Be My Neighbor back to back. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be fun. All right. And then you compare it with this series. Well, this is one I've been wanting for a while, partly because the title is weird and somehow caught my attention. And that's a series called Blade Dance of the Elementors. I have no idea what that is supposed to mean exactly, but whatever. It's one that I've been wanting for a while. Like I said, most of these Blu-rays, I was waiting until they drop, like you said, drop below 10. And I think almost all, if not all of them, I got for under 10. There may have been a couple $12 ones mixed in. This was probably a $7 one. It's one that, you know, I was willing to wait till that price and finally got it. I don't know much about it. Like often is the case with Sentai, they try to make it seem more salacious than it probably is, but who knows? It may be just what it looks like. We'll find out. But it's a show plus the OVA, so yeah.
Speaking of stuff that gotten on Curiosity for under 10, this was way under 10. This was $1.
Oh,
And that's Bullethead with Antonio Banderas.
oh, nice. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
wait. Is that the one where he plays like a South American hitman or something?
Trapped in a warehouse after a heist, 3 career criminals will face off against a force far more threatening than the police in pursuit. Interesting. So, I am not sure, but I am kind of glad to see. I mean, you got Antonio Banderas, Adrian Brody, and John Malkovich.
Nice.
I mean, seeing this cast alone, I'm sure would have been enough for you to say for $1.
I'd buy that for $1.
Exactly. So I think this would be one of those cases. Most assuredly so.
All right. Now, a show I definitely would have bought for $1, but I think I got it for closer to 10. Is one that I feel like you said was really good, and I feel like you and or Mo had raved about this one, and that's a series that I was actually surprised I didn't have, which is why it can be useful to take your computer with you when you're building your list or to build your list, and you know what I mean. It was easier than trying to go. When you have it as much as we do, you forget things. And that's a series called The Comic Artist and His Assistants, which has the series and the OVAs about a manga artist and, well, his assistants. Well, that didn't tell you much. You didn't know, did it?
I now know how you would have thought that it would have been me as well as Mo, because I had shown that I had gotten that series, and Mo had talked about how much he liked the series.
Yes.
So
It
that was
looks
probably it.
It looks fun. I think I'll enjoy it. I like stuff about creation, and especially if they take a serial comic bent to it, then that can be good times.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the look of Comic Party. Probably it looks like maybe a little bit more risque, but we'll see. So another one that seems like cheap is the theme for some of these. There is one that was on the Kino Labarche sale that was really cheap. And I remembered this kind of as a lark. I thought I would get it, which is Chris Elliott's film Cabin Boy. I just thought to myself, this is getting a rather nice release for such a terrible film.
Right.
And there was a time when Chris Elliott was relatively famous and in a lot of things, but that time was very short. And this was from.
But he was in everything for about 3 or 4 years. He was that guy.
Yeah. Like I say, his star burned brightly and burned up very quickly. But this was one of those films. And it's about this guy who's a cabin boy, and there's a lot of slapstick comedy, and he presents himself as kind of a wimp, and eventually he finds his manhood, so he becomes a cabin man instead of a cabin boy.
Nice.
So, I have like a clip, and I doubt I'll play it because this is going to be a long video, and I tend to just do basic editing with very long videos, but where he goes, "These pipes are clean." That's where this comes from. So that's worth the $4 I paid for that particular Blu-ray.
Nice. All right. I think this one was more than 4, but again, it was probably like 8 or so. And this is another one where the weird title kind of stuck in my brain, and I just kind of wanted it. And that's called Invaders of the Rokujima. And it says here, a man's home may be his castle, but this one is haunted and under siege. Well, so sort of a haunted house comedy sort of thing, I guess. I'm curious about it. I know very little about it, but it looks fun.
Well, speaking of curious and haunting and potential fun, I saw this and I couldn't pass it up at the Dollar Tree. Candyland.
Nice.
Dying has never been so sweet. I just love this open because you got like kind of this like cake pop eye, like a
Lovely.
jawbreaker, some candy corns, like a candy cane and such. So new lovebirds, Peter and Tess find solace in each other's brokenness. They decide to isolate themselves from the world inside Peter's apartment, creating their own reality, Candyland. But their possessive love descends into a surreal savagery. Cut off. Peter's father must fight to save them both before they completely disappear into madness. That looks like fun. I don't know. I mean, for $1, I'm willing to give most things a try. It looks like it could be entertaining.
Right. So another one with a title that sticks in the brain, partly for its sheer non-sensory, is this was an odd case. Sentai sent me a very large box with a very large amount of items in it, and only one was held to ship separately later. And that was the second season of this particular series, which I ordered both seasons of. And that is the series, Is the Order a Rabbit?
Yes.
Yeah, because that makes perfect sense. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. But it's it has something to do with a place called Rabbit House. I don't, but it looks fun. I seem to remember this one got decent reviews when it came out. I've been wanting it for a while. It is one of the ones on this pile that's a newer release that only recently came down in price. But I feel like I was able to get both volumes for under 10, or each one for under 10. So I figured it was worth it, and I'm glad I finally got them. I'm glad this one was shipped, even though it was like 3 weeks later. But yeah.
Speaking of one that had a delay, I showed the second and third in the series. The second one, which I had to get off of eBay because it was out of print, and the third I got off of eBay because it was cheap. And then I bought the first film on sale, which prompted me getting the others, but it arrived almost a month later because of the mail delays. And that is the shot release of Candyman. Which is awesome because I have all 3 films now. And I have the 2 shout releases, this one and the second one. This one's obviously in print because it was very, very cheap. It was like $5 cheap on sale. And the second one is much, much more expensive. So it's kind of good to have these both now. And then, of course, I have the third one, which only has a DVD release. But maybe Shout will release the third one, and then I'll be able to upgrade and do all 3.
Right.
But essentially, you've got this place, this kind of urban setting, and this guy Candyman has been killing women. It's kind of an apparition, and there's a lot of like bees that are utilized, and some gore effects. You'd probably be a little bit harder for you to watch this, but I think you could make it through this. But again, it's a classic horror. It's being redone by Jordan Peele, so we'll see how his take goes on this.
Well, you'll let me know, right?
It's got a crap load of special features.
Nice. And now for something completely different. Something that might seem a little on a very different order from some of the other anime I've been showing off. This is the franchise I've been wanting to pull the trigger on for a long, long time. But Sentai has released 2 different seasons, one only on DVD. And I still don't have that one. I need to get it. And that one is La Cortadoro Prima Passo. But this one is La Cortadoro Blue Sky. So I do finally have this. And this is about young musicians. I know that much. I would assume somewhere kind of in the same as Nodame Cantabile, which still needs a release here, or Your Lie in April, or something along those lines. I don't know much about the series itself, but I feel like it's well rated and it's one that I want to see. Again, I need to get Primo Passo. I'm annoyed that it's not on Blu-ray because I'd like them to match and be, and anything music oriented needs the higher resolution, I think. But
if they transfer it correctly.
If they do it correctly, yes. It could just be a simple SD release and whatever, but whatever. I now have part of it at least. I think they may actually be out of Primo Passo. That might have been why I didn't order it, but I don't know.
So mine is one that I had used. I was going to get it eventually, but I wasn't going to pay $20 for it. I remember you teasing me about, you're going to get this, right? And I'm like, yeah, I am, but not for that. And finally, for under 10, Cats and Dogs 3, Paws Unite.
Was it $9.99?
Yeah, less than that. It was like $7, and it was worth it. I'm sure it'll be worth $7. I guess because really 2020 release is going to be kind of a vaguer term for this year. It's on the list to watch before I do the thing, so I'm going to be prioritizing the viewing of this one.
Obviously.
So I can have this on my list of things I've watched. But we'll see. In February, we're going to start doing our least favorites and then our favorites of 2020 with some of the Inside Movies Galore group for one of our vlogcasts. So you should join us. Maybe this will be my favorite of the year.
Who knows?
It might be. It is there.
All the critics are raving about it.
Oh yeah, it looks really good. It's got a couple special features. Got a cast reveals all deep animal thoughts. See that right there, worth it.
Nice,
every penny.
So with this next one, it looks like I may have actually gotten the English dub upgrade of this one, even though I got it at a low price. So that's kind of cool. And that is one that's again been on the agenda for some time, not necessarily something that I know is essential, it's just I was curious. And that's called Leviathan, The Last Defense. Sort of a supernatural series there. It looks fun. It's got to be more fun than the Russian film Leviathan.
It's the same thing.
I'm sure it's exactly the same thing. It looks so familiar. But it is kind of cool that I got the one with the dub without having to make any extra effort because, it's not that I don't ever want those. I just don't have any time to watch every show the first time, let alone twice. But good times.
I'll admit, having a dub sometimes for me, if I'm like taking a choice between a series with a dub and a series with a sub, see, I know for you have to watch the sub first. For me, I don't have that kind of. I have
to first, but I prefer to.
See, I don't have that sort of prejudice on it. So for me, sometimes it's a matter of I have two series, and one I have to sit and stare at it like intently in the subtitles, and one I can kind of do stuff and still have like 70% of my attention span on it, and I'll usually choose the dub over it every time.
Well, and again, that's also we function very differently in our viewing. Yes. If I put 70% on something, I miss so much that I have to drop what I'm doing. Yeah. I gotta watch something, or that's it. So yeah.
And that's how it is.
Once.
But again, that's how it is. Usually with a sub, I usually have to watch it 2 times or more, just because the first time I'm reading and I miss everything on the screen. And that's so again, it's all there. I mean, 100% of myself on the reading, it's might as well just be a book. So
pretty book with sound.
Yes. So this here is another Dollar Tree pickup. I got it because it did get a little bit of noise, but not as much as we had hoped it would, which is CBGB. So for a
Okay.
dollar, though, it was worth getting a hold of.
Mhm.
Has a heck of a cast. Alan Rickman in one of the leads there.
Mm.
The late Alan Rickman, Malin Arkman, Justin Bartha, Richard DeClerc, Johnny Galecki, Ashley Green, Rupert Grint, Taylor Hawkins, Stana Katic, Donald Logue, Joel David Moore, Freddie Rodriguez, Mickey Sumner, and Bradley Whitford. So you've got like a heck of a, you got some interesting cast members. And of course, it's kind of a story of CBGB, which is closed now. It's been closed for a number of years now. And, you know, it's kind of sad because it is history, especially for certain things, especially for punk rock, but for a lot of other types of musical performances, this was just like the place that you would see some of them, where many of them got their starts. So it's kind of cool to have it. I am looking forward to it. I heard that it kind of like it wasn't as good as it was hoped to be, but still a fun looking venture. Worth
Good
a dollar.
times.
Worth a dollar.
Right. Actually, it's kind of funny that you just talked about a movie that features Ron Weasley and Severus Snape, and I'm going to follow it up with a series called Magical Warfare. That seems appropriate. But I'm not sure what it is about this series. It just caught my attention somehow. I wanted to get it. I did not want to pay a lot for it. So again, when I saw it for 10 or less, I was like, okay, I'm putting that in a cart. But, you know, magical action series should be fun.
All right. A lot of these unknowns.
There's a lot of unknowns this time, yeah.
Now, this is one that you picked up a while back. I found it for under 10. It's a G-Kids release, and a G-Kids release for under 10 is I gotta grab this.
Nice.
And that was Children of the Sea.
Oh,
I've wanted this for a while. You know, I really have wanted this for a while. It's not got the highest of ratings, but it's still cool looking. It's got a pretty good pedigree.
Decent rating.
And, you know, I mean, I like Tikkun Concrete.
Oh, is it from those people?
Yeah. Studio 4 Centigrade.
Yeah.
And MFKZ, which I haven't seen that one. But, you know, good pedigree. Curiosity has me. Looks beautiful. I like ocean-based stuff. It is kind of cool. So I will be watching this eventually. I mean, one thing I have been trying to do, because I have the Apple TV, I've been trying to watch that Wolf Children one that the studio that did, you know, Song of the Sea and all that did, because I have a feeling that one's going to be up for
the Wolfwalkers or whatever it is?
Wolfwalkers.
Oh, I need to see that.
So I've been working on that.
On?
Apple TV, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
But because my wife got like some freebies for Apple TV for her sign up, I'm able to actually check it out. But I've checked out a portion of it. Plan on. I still haven't seen Song of the Sea, but I have seen.
You need to see that.
So, you know, maybe that's a relation there.
Now, something that's probably a little less classy than that is something that I've been eyeing for a while. Again, Sentai release that has been around for some time. Just never wanted to pay a lot for it. And frankly, it's one of the ones that I kept thinking maybe I'd already gotten. So I didn't get it. But this time around, I grabbed it, and that's a show called Photokano. And, you know, basically, dude gets a camera and decides to put it to the most noble use imaginable, as you can tell from the cover.
Obviously.
Obviously. But it looks fun. I don't know much about it. I just kind of wanted to get it, and I finally did.
So this one here I got on the Vinegar Syndrome Black Friday sale. Of course, they didn't get to me. This package didn't get to me until a few weeks ago, just before Christmas, which I should have watched this in the other film. I just didn't have the time. You'd think being in quarantine would create more viewing time, but no.
No.
But it's a film called Christmas Evil.
Nice.
And again, I liked a lot of these films. I mean, this one here says, when he was a boy, Harry idolized Santa Claus. But one Christmas Eve, he witnessed something horrifying that forever shattered his innocent understanding of Santa. Now an adult, Harry wants to embody the pure Santa Claus he grew up loving. He works at a toy factory and keeps records of who's been naughty and nice. But the spirit of Christmas isn't what it used to be, and he can't take it. So, garbed in his red suit, Harry decides that the only thing he can do is become Santa himself and make all the naughty townspeople pay in blood.
Nice.
It kind of has that Silent Night, Deadly Night feel to it. I'm looking forward to checking this one out. You'll see a couple more from that as time goes. But this had to be on there. Matter of fact, when we get to D, there's going to be another Christmas themed one whenever that happens.
Right. So, speaking of Lost Innocence, next up we have a show that I'm sure that most people who believe that cartoons and animation are always for kids would definitely not bat an eye at letting their kids watch this, and then they would regret it. From what I hear, from what I understand. And that is a show that, again, I held off for a long time on pulling the trigger, and I finally did because I was able to get the complete collection, both seasons and the OVA, 37 episode total. 37. That's actually appropriate for this one. Of the series, The Quasar of Stigmata. Which it was not much. I think this may have been as much as 12, but it was probably more like 10, which again, for 37 episodes, ain't bad. And I don't know much about this. I'd always kind of lumped it in with Queen's Blade. I heard it was similar in a lot of ways, for kids. But it is one that I'm glad to finally have. And again, I was glad I was able to get it at a very low price. And I'll get to it one day.
I have the old DVD release, and I got it a long time ago. I still haven't watched it. I got it purely for the fact that I wanted an anime for every letter of the alphabet. And Q was a hard one to get
It is.
So I eventually
got that one and Queen's Blade.
I chose between the two, and I decided this one was a little bit easier to collect for. There's a lot of Queen's Blade out there.
Oh, there is.
So this next one is one I picked up at the Dollar Tree. And this one is a BBC film called Clay. So 14-year-old David Hagen, his life is changed forever by a mysterious outsider, Stephen Rose. In a bizarre ritual, the boys raise a golem, a creature fashioned from clay, capable of dealing with anyone, even the town bully. Magic? Surely not. Just the product of two fevered imaginations. But then the town bully ends up dead, and Davy has to deal with the awful power they may have unleashed. So it's fun. It's got, what is her name? Imelda Stanton, which you should know that name. So, something there. I'm curious about it. I like BBC productions when I see them. I have another film called Clay. I had to double check because I have the prop. I have a prop from that film somewhere sitting around my little trophy. But this is a different film, so I'm curious enough.
Good deal. So, speaking of having to survive, I don't know. This is apparently a very different show, but this one I want to say is also a new-ish release, but I was still able to get it at a very low price, and that's called Sabagebu Survival Game Club.
That was really cheap.
Yeah. And it looks interesting. It looks fun. One of those many, 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 many high school club anime, that it looks like it's also part of the girls with guns subgenre of anime. Should be fun. Yeah.
High school girls.
Yes. Do you know if he Shigeru does that little song and dance in the new Fruits Basket?
I don't know. I have heard that they try and eliminate most of the comedy from the series. So I don't know.
Most of the comedy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean most of the comedy?
I think they have a couple comedic moments, but I think they try to make it a lot more serious than they did the original.
My understanding was the original director went way overboard on the comedy, but I would say eliminating most of the comedy is a stupid idea, but trying not to go overboard the second time makes more sense. Because the manga had humor in it.
I don't know. I like the manic energy that the original anime had. So I will need to. I want those full season releases. Give me a full season release, Funimation, so I can watch it. So I give myself a full excuse. I could stream it, but I just don't feel like it. So this one here is one I got purely for the cover, Dollar Tree, called Crazy Love. I mean, he kind of looks crazy.
I saw that one. Yeah.
I don't know why. I saw this and I was like, yeah, I got to try this out. So, Crazy Love is pulp non-fiction, simultaneously disturbing and luridly entertaining. Crazy Love tells an astonishing, unbelievable story of the obsessive roller coaster relationship of Bert and Linda Pugach. Their whirlwind romance culminated in a violent and psychologically complex set of actions that landed the pair in the cover of endless newspapers and magazines. So, it looks interesting. Got some interviews and commentary tracks. It's got a fairly solid feel to it. So probably went for a lot more than what I got it for at one point. Still kind of cool. Kind of neat to see stuff like that. I'd like to check it out.
Good times. Next up, this is one of the weirder entries in the do I have it or don't I? Because it's an essential. It's a classic that has been around for ages and ages and ages. And I seriously thought that I did have it at one point. I do have the sequel, but I did not apparently have this one. And this was definitely driven home when we covered this. I think it was might have been the Halloween month, the October. I want to say, you can correct me if I'm wrong on Movies Galore, but then Sentai put it on sale really cheap, so I finally got a copy of Vampire Hunter D. So what I have seen,
it's a classic.
It is. I find it somewhat underwhelming as such, but still, it's a pretty good movie. It's a worthwhile bit of 80s anime. It is for a lot of people involved in the industry kind of cut their teeth on this movie, and a lot of American anime fans kind of cut their teeth on this one. So it is an essential. I find it a little underwhelming, but you could do worse. And this is supposedly a remastered edition, so it'll probably be nice to see it cleaned up and pretty. Yeah. I'm glad I finally got it. And again, I got it at a good price. It's not the Steelbook. I wanted that, but.
All right. Well, how many do you have left?
I have one left.
Okay, so I gotta find one.
That's why I told you at the start.
All right, got it.
All right.
It's like I was eyeing one just in case I needed it, and it was just like right there. Because I told you, I mean, right now the Christmas or Black Friday group, I got through C, and I actually got all the way through C in that grouping. So now I'm on to I have C in my regular stuff, which is Creepshow Season 1. Which is kind of cool. I used to mistake this from a Tales of the Crypt revival, but it's just more of a, well, which you can see why. But it's, of course, it's a lot like Tales from the Crypt or Creepshow itself, the movies, which have the anthology feel to it. So you've got a lot of anthology horror. I enjoyed what I've seen of this thing on Shudder. And I do like it overall. It's a nice. It's been a nice one, and it's worth having. I had gotten it for $10, and for $10 for a full season, that's not bad. I love the cover. The slip cover has a lot of. I don't know if you can see when the light hits it, but it's got a lot of the extra stuff. You can feel it.
Okay, so like a die-cast cover or something.
Yeah, it's kind of raised up.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool as well. It's worth having. I mean, you've got David Arquette, Adrian Bardot, Tobin Bell, Big Boy, Jeffrey Combs, Kid Cudi, Bruce Davidson, Giancarlo Esposito, Dana Gold, Tricia Heffler, and DJ Qualls. So some names that I'm sure you recognize in there. So some fun stuff. I think it's worth a check out. Most indeed.
Good times. Okay, and for my last, I got a big one, but it's not necessarily a show that I really, really, really wanted. I was willing to, as we talk about in our releases, like, I want the Sentai limited sets, but there are some I'm willing to let go out of print and some I'm not. This one, frankly, I was willing to let it go out of print, but then it finally, I think it was like 25, and I was like, you know what, for 25, I gotta jump on it. That's a good price for this particular one. And that is a re-release of a rather older show, 39-episode series called Ushio and Torah. And this is
nice version.
This is a massive set. I mean, look at that set. That is a pretty impressive, hefty little set there. It's got a wrapper. Yeah, it's got a wraparound cover that apparently you unlock it somehow. I'm still trying to figure that part out. I haven't actually opened it yet. But I know there's a lot of goodies inside. I know relatively little about this, but I like these collections. I like getting them. They're very collectible and fun. Brandon's seen the picture I did of all my Sentai sets, and it was pretty interesting. As did any of you in Movies Galore. I mean, not Movies, well, maybe them too, but the amazing collections, I posted it on that site. This was holding up one of the corners. But again, this was one I was willing to let the price come down. When it finally was in the 20s, I was like, I'm going to jump on that. And it's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing this eventually.
You see, I had that one and School Live both on DVD, and I could only get one of the two. And I was like, which one do I want to get on that that special edition? So I decided on School Live, as you guys, as the rest of you have seen in my previous pickup. But yeah, I because I have that on the DVD release, and I have the other because there's a OVA that's separately released.
Right.
And so I have both of those sitting in my collection. I just haven't gotten to like all the rest of it. I'm finally watching the Back to the Future animated series now, thanks to the upcoming. So hey,
very nice.
And I even am starting to remember some of it from
I'd forgotten there was one, which is weird. You'd think I'd remember that.
What's weird is I don't remember the show at all, other than the fact that it always started with a live-action Christopher Lloyd segment as Doc Brown. And those I remembered. And the little experiments that he taught you to do at home. I remembered those, but I blocked the entire cartoon out of my head. So it's very interesting to see.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed our pickups this week. We'll probably be down to a little bit more reasonable number next week, but we'll see. And
We moved at a good clip on this one, though.
we did. So, well, I think it's because you didn't have a lot to say about it.
Right.
So with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this. Hit that like button or subscribe or both, and share. We want more viewers. We want more subscribers. Let's get this thing. Let's make 2021 the year we finally take off as a channel. See, if we take off as a channel, I could actually take more time instead of working 2 jobs. I could take more time to edit and maybe do more.
Right.
But with that being said, we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Right.